Listen up. We are back with another episode of the Construction Mentor Podcast. My name is Ike. I am your host. What are we here to do? We're here to promote the construction industry as the place to be. We have an interesting guest today because through what we've been doing on this platform for the last couple of years, our goal has been to create something that we can give to people that will enable them to enter the industry without any college degree or without any experience. And for about 5 months now, people have been taking the construction project management course, which you can go find at constructionmentor.org. There's a link on there, or you can go check out the link in any one of my social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm sure there's some other ones out there that I'm automatically posting to, but it's out there, right? Or you can just DM me and I can direct you right there. But we want to open the doors for people to come into this industry, not only into the trades, but into the project management side, into the management side of construction. And if you're already in the industry, we try to bring people on here to help share their careers, their trials and tribulations through their life, how they've found success in the industry. But today we have somebody, like I said, that's at the beginning. He just finished the construction project management course. He just accepted his first job. So with that, I welcome my good friend, Caleb. Caleb, have you quit your job yet?
The 2 weeks were put in. Let's just say that. Counting the
and what
days, absolutely.
and where is your current job? So you haven't started in construction project management yet. You're about to. You just accepted your first job offer after completing the construction project management certification course on CourseCareers.
Yes,
And
sir.
what were you doing currently?
So currently, right now, I am an assistant store manager at Aldi. So they're currently looked at as, one of the faster growing retailers right now in North America and globally at the current point in time.
Yeah, so Aldi, and before that, it was where?
It was at Publix. So I was an assistant customer service manager at Publix, and I was there for almost good 8 years. So I had a good run there as well.
8 years, man. So if you don't know what an Aldi is and you don't know what a Publix is like the grocery store in Florida, which is where both of us live. And
Yes,
Aldi's
sir.
another one that's kind of coming around, but definitely a national brand. So, I mean, the long story short is that Caleb currently is in, retail grocery market
Yep.
world, right? And how'd you get into that?
So yeah, man. So I started out as leaving my first job with Public. So around 14, 15, my dad was like, "Hey, man, as you're getting older, I want you to be able to kind of go out and start, make your own money and get an understanding of just, earning your dollars." So I started out just applying different places, and Publix was, 10, 15-minute drive up from where I lived. So went in, put a job application in, and they hit me back a few, days later and offered me my first job. So with them, I just started out with like, typical grocery store, like bagging people's, groceries and grabbing cars, doing certain custodial duties like, wiping down counters, bathrooms, just very simple entry level role. And then with that, as I got older and worked my way through high school, and I was kind of in that what I want to be when I grow up kind of phase. I was able to see there was some potential career growth with the company. So I decided to get full time at age 18. And then it kind of shot off from there, man, just getting into supervisor, team leader, assistant customer service manager. So just work my way up through the ranks
So right at 18, meaning you didn't go to college. You
and I go to
stayed in
college.
the retail grocery realm, right?
Correct.
And I think it sounds like you felt like there was career growth at the time because you were going from, bagging groceries to probably cashier and then like you said,
Yep.
assistant store manager and those things. But it must have come to a head at some point because you clearly had interest in other avenues. And I think a lot of people would resonate with that. So
Yes.
describe that to me. Like at what point, so you were 18 then, you're 24 now.
Yes.
At what point were you like, you know what? Not enough career growth for me. This might not be the life for me.
Yeah, so honestly, I feel like it was something, man, I always try to look for in the big picture of things, kind of look at life from a holistic standpoint. So as a young man, I do realize that, at that point in time, me being 18, 19, 20 years old, um, Publix or retail didn't necessarily have to be the place where I stamped my flag indefinitely. There was definitely some flexibility to where I was like, hey, right now I still have that opportunity and the autonomy to be able to maybe try my hand at something else if I chose to. So while I was currently with Publix, I was just thinking, okay, what does that next step kind of look like? Retail, it's good, it's consistent. One thing about it, people will always need groceries. That's one thing about it. So, as far as job security, it definitely was not an issue in regards to that. But, working 45, 50 hours a week, the weekends consistently, you're constantly on the front lines. And I had the, unfortunate pleasure of working through COVID as well. And that kind of peaked retail for, I think, a lot of people at that current point in time. So it was a grind, man. Once we kind of got past that, I was like, what are those next steps looks like? And so, to that initiative, I was looking into project management. I came across that just with research and going on Google. And at that point, Google kind of had offered their own course for construction project management, but it was very broad. It wasn't anything that was kind of, there was no focal point. It was certain industry that they were trying to get you ready for. It was just, this is like for people who what is project management as a whole and all the lingo and the do's and don'ts and kind of, philosophies and whatnot of project management. That's kind of what it was all about. And so that was my introduction to project management as a whole.
So you hit on a couple things there, and one of the one, when you're talking about how you started in the the grocery world, it kind of sounded like that was a job, but it wasn't necessarily a career, and you kind of came to that
Correct.
realization.
Yeah.
And just to dangle a carrot out there, no spoiler alert, your starting salary in construction with no experience and no degree is already more than you were making there after 8 years. Correct?
Absolutely. 100%. It's
Okay.
just I'm still trying to get over that at this current point in time. But yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, which is incredible, right? I mean, that's just incredible just to say that, you were looking for something new. You felt like where you were at wasn't necessarily the career or wasn't, going to fulfill Caleb in the man that Caleb wanted to be. And then here you are, you kind of get a taste of what project management is and you hit the nail on the head. It's like, that's a really broad certification. I would say PMP certifications are the same thing. I've done a post on
Correct.
that and everyone got mad at me for it, or a lot of people with PMPs got mad at me
Yeah.
for it, but it's not hyper specific, right? And that's what this course was about, construction project management on CourseCareers.com. And so let's get into that, right? So how did you find Course Careers, and why was that course different than others? Because I know you mentioned Google, but I know you also mentioned that you had looked at a bunch of different courses, I think, for a bunch of different careers. So why this one?
Right. Yeah, man. So, like I said, on that search to trying to find something that kind of worked for me, I mentioned how I did not go to college route, but at the same time, I do have to realize that, knowledge isn't free. Whether you're going to be paying your time or your money, you're going to have some investment to be able to, learn what you need to learn to be able to be a valuable asset coming into any employer, any place of business, any organization. So, but I was also trying to find something that I felt like kind of just no fluff, straight to the point, what it is that I need to be able to be successful in this industry, specifically in project management. So, to be honest, when I first started out, construction was not necessarily, I wasn't looking for construction project management. I was just like, what, I want to be able to find a course that can teach me what I need to know about this whole project management thing. And so I was going on, Google and YouTube, looking at all these different things. And I think I end up actually one day, as I was searching all these things, my algorithm started changing a little bit. So I go on Instagram and have all these things about project management, this, that, or whatever. And then one day, end up sliding up, just kind of right time and place, and you had a reel at that current point in time. And I think it was you with the shades on, the cool hat, and throwing a dart out. And it was very captivating, to be honest with you. It was like, this guy has my attention. I got to see what he's talking about. And you making these parallels of like, hey, somebody who's taking the time, who may not necessarily have this 4-year college degree, but has experience, has this, skill set in the trade, again, coming out at a very young age, maybe fresh out of high school or 21, 22 years old, and then be able to have that experience and that skill set, being able to really set them up as a young adult going out to the workforce and be able to really take care of themselves very well, and also able to provide a lot of value to the workplace at that current point in time as well. So I was like, all right, I gotta, he got me on the hook. All right, I bit. So let me figure out kind of a little bit more. So I went and go into your, and I think I hit in the description, and you talk basically about the end of the reels, like, hey, if you guys want to learn any more about this, like click my link or whatever. So you were kind of my first introduction to course careers in general. So end up going on the page, and it had all these, different careers that you can choose from. But with the construction, it kind of resonated with me very quickly. So on there, I got a chance to, go through your first three free, training courses that you have on a training video, should I say. This kind of introductory, but also it's loaded, right? It's not just talking about it. Also kind of you walk away with information that you can use, and a really good kind of food for thought on what this course has to offer.
Yeah, I
And
mean, so the point of the free course, the three, the intro course, the three videos there, is to define what this job is, right? What does it look
exactly,
like a day in the life, and what can you make throughout your career, and how do you get in?
right.
And what's funny is actually somebody actually reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, I realized just from watching those free videos that I already had a good enough experience to get a job, and I got a job." And he was
Right.
like, "So sorry I didn't take the course, but but the free stuff was good enough for me." And I
It
was
got the
like, "Hey,
job done.
I'm here to help." The second thing,
So
when I recorded that video with the pit vipers on, and I don't know where everybody else is in the country, but in Florida, pit
right.
vipers are, they're kind of like the Macho Man Randy Savage shades,
Yep.
and I
I,
had a
I own
hat
a
on,
pair.
and my wife was like, "Dude, why are you wearing those dumbass glasses and the dumbass hat?" And
Yeah.
now I'm gonna go into her and be like, "Hey, remember that time you said that? That just changed somebody's life."
It worked, man. It worked.
So, so what were some other kind of courses? Because you and I had a conversation one time, and you were
We
like,
did.
"You know what? I was looking at a lot of other courses, and I think your father may have looked at other courses because
Yeah.
your father is always looking for continuing education."
Right.
And I've been accused of snake oil, but there's a lot of snake oil out there,
It
right?
is.
So, like, what was the search like in other courses, and how was this one different from your experience now that you're on the other side?
Yeah. So, as me, you kind of touched on before, before I even got to project management, even construction project management as a whole, I have personally, as well as my father, collectively, we've put thousands of dollars for so many different courses, whether it's in a entrepreneurial kind of field, different kind of thing, different kind of training courses to where you're online, you're searching for, like you said, the always that continuing education, trying to better yourself, not getting complacent, always trying to improve and trying to make a living, right? Try to keep up with everything and hustles bustles of life. And in that process, a lot of people that I've personally dealt with, I'll send them my direct payment and then they'll give me access to a course. And once I get that course, I'm kind of on my own. I'm kind of on the island. There's not really any genuine relationship there. It's well, there's any question concerns that I may have when I'm actually trying to put in the effort and trying to, you know, get to where these people are, because the whole point of me buying your course was like, hey, this is what I'm offering. You take the time to do, said training modules and apply it. You can be just successful, if not exceed, where I am. And they paint the perfect picture. We're here to help and all these things, and my personal experience, man, has been kind of the complete opposite. It's just like, I got the money now. I'm here trying to figure it out on my own, and there isn't really anybody who's willing to kind of put boots on the ground with me to be able to ensure, my success from the aspect of like, hey, this guy, he wants to apply himself. Let me help him out. And, to me, that's kind of what between me and my father, even when I went in this course, I was like, I don't know the track record I've been having, man. I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. I'm not gonna, put the cart before the horse. And it was definitely, a chance that I took. A little bit of step out on faith, if you will. And if I can say here now, I think I've been able to, enjoy the fruits of my labor with that. But yeah, man, but versus this course, you know, one thing I've said is that, Ike is very hands-on. And it's to a point where I remember our first call, the first time I met with you, I was like, I had to just pause you, miss. And I was like, listen, I need to just let you know how much just off this first initial meeting, there's so much value that I'm gaining from this, just from you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be able to actually sit down with somebody that you never met, one of your students, you really carving out time to be able to invest in them, because you don't find that everywhere. People who actually are here to serve, and not just be able to make a dollar. right? And that stood out to me, that resonated with me. And people like that, man, it's very easy to get behind. So I feel like if you're learning and you're teachable and you're trying to actually do the right thing and learn from people who came before you, people like Ike, who's kind of makes himself accessible, is willing to put in that work with you, as long as you put in the work yourself. It puts that battery in your back, man. It's that rocket fuel, it's that launch pad that you need to be able to kind of keep you going, because not always going to be easy. But having somebody there in the trenches with you and feel like there's support there, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, one of the things. So I've heard now for the second time going into it the way you and your father saw courses, right? Just from kind of getting scammed, for lack of a better word, before.
Right. Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of people, when they go for courses, they're nervous about what other people will think around them once they're doing it, right? Like, especially at a young age, if you're trying to take a different career path and you're going to throw, 500 or, $449 out there if you use the link.
Right.
That's a lot of money, right? And
It is.
especially people's parents they're worried about what people's parents' reaction would be. So there's going to be a two-part question. First part, what was, and I personally already know the answer to this, but what
Right.
was your father's reaction when he saw that first call, and when you started getting interviews? What feedback did he have for you, just for as an observer?
Yes, it was really a paradigm shift, to be honest. My dad's very hands-on. I'm very thankful for him that he's in my life, and he's always trying to give me good counsel and make sure I'm thinking of things, from a good perspective. And when I originally kind of brought this opportunity, I was like, hey man, this is something that I'm committing myself to this, right? Something that I want to do. I've been on this project management thing for a while. I found a specific niche, a certain industry, a certain field that I want to commit to, and we kind of talked about numbers and all these other kind of things, and the reviews and all that stuff. And to be honest, since the course was so new, he's like, there are any reviews on it? I was like, no, there's not really necessarily any reviews on it. He's like, all right, man, this is all I'm saying, right? I have no doubt in you at all whatsoever. I feel like you do fine, but just be wise. Just be mindful that I just want to be able to see you put in this work, and I don't want you to see you put all this effort in for vain. I want to be able to see you actually learn the stuff, apply yourself, be able to come out with this, and it actually works for you, right? So my dad was supportive, but also made me aware of like, hey, just kind of keep your eyes peeled. And I would say very quickly after that, just literally in weeks, um, and I think it really was just, to be completely honest and transparent, him just seeing the time that was being spent with me, investing in me to make sure I'm retaining information from the course,
You mean
make sure
you mean us
yes,
together on
yeah,
calls?
yes, you and I meeting up, after you've worked a full day, I worked a full day, with like, hey, let's meet up at 7, 8 o'clock tonight, go over materials, make sure you're feeling good. Any questions, concerns, let's shoot it back and forth. Let's make sure that you're as prepared as you can be. And the opportunity was there, and we, he was always asking like, hey man, how's everything going? And I'm like, listen, man, like it's been going really good. Like he's been supportive, he's been there, and he's like, I'm not gonna lie to you, from what I've been seeing so far, um, you need to stay close to this guy. It's not a whole lot of people out here that's willing to do this kind of stuff. He said, man, I've lived twice your age. I've spent a lot of money on courses, so if when I tell you it's a dime a dozen, truly is. And it's just off those conversations, man, and just being able to see like, hey, this guy, he's really taking the time to genuinely help my son. And it's something to where it's undeniable, and it was good, man. So my dad, he was like, hey man, I like him. I like the guy. Let's keep it going. Let's
Well,
keep it going.
it's funny because I think a lot of people go to college to please the parents, right?
Yeah,
I think a lot of people strive for some sort of paper to put on the wall. Like it probably starts when we're kids
absolutely.
and we're trying to get our homework or some crappy drawing on the refrigerator, and then it
Right.
goes right up through a college degree. And I think a lot of people, when they think about not going to college or alternative education, trade school, certifications like this one,
Right.
it's like their biggest concern is what are their parents going to think,
Yeah.
and did they make the right decision, right? Like how are you perceived as investing your time and money? And I'm
Right.
glad that without even getting a job yet, your father's perspective shifted in the right direction. So the part that I don't know is what was the reaction that your dad had, and any other family members that may have had a
Yeah.
reaction when you got a job offer.
Yeah, man. So, I was gatekeeping it for a little bit because I was like, oh man, I gotta have that suspense. But yeah, man, I was when I ended up getting that job offer and kind of bringing home that news, it was electric. It was like to me, it's like we're going to Super Bowl in my house. You could have told otherwise. Because I will say, man, like my family has been able to see how much effort and how much grind I've put towards this, right? Like I work a job that's, pulling me 42 to 45 hours on a light week every single week. My schedule is very, inconsistent. It's kind of as business needs and I have to do what I have to do. So a lot of those times I come home, man, late night, I'm tired. It's very easy for me to just like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it whenever. But like I said, when I went to my dad, I'm like, hey, man, it's something I want to do, right? I'm committing myself to getting this thing done, right? And he's like, all right, man. And I kept that commitment to myself and I kept applying. So, my mom used to get up early in the morning, man, on the way to work, and she has to be up 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll get home 8, 9 o'clock at night, shower at that table, grinding, studying, taking notes. And I'll be up 3 o'clock in the morning, go to bed, come right back up 7 o'clock, bright early, getting right back out before I gotta go to work. So they've been able to see like, hey man, Caleb, he's been busting his butt. And for them to be able to see not even 2 months, a month and a half after putting all this work and be able to see something come around that quick, that if that's not the satisfaction and that instant gratification from that, man, I really don't know what is. So yeah, it was really they were able to be a part of the journey and be able to be a part of that struggle and that grind to get there. But they're also they're supportive when I got the first offer and I accepted it and it was open arms, absolutely.
Yeah, listen, I think a lot of like coaching types, or mentorship types, the common phrase is like, whatever energy you give, I'll give you, or you give me, I'll give it right back to you.
Right.
And I was thinking about this and I was like, you know what? It's not about me. Like, you're not giving me energy. You're giving yourself energy. You're investing in
Right.
yourself. I'm just here to prop you up and to back you up and to give you whatever kind of boost that I can. It's not about giving
Absolutely.
me the energy. It's about you giving yourself and investing your own blood, sweat, and tears and your own, when you want to go to bed after you get home from work at 9 o'clock at night, but then you're pushing it until, midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning to learn something new and to, change the course of your life. Why wouldn't I want to be, in somebody's corner who wants to do that? Like, I'd jump at an opportunity like that.
Right.
And when I look at you, it's funny because you mentioned 6 weeks in a world of instant gratification. I know kids that go to college. I say kids, people your age
Right.
that will go to college for 4 years, 6 years and come out. And I guarantee you, they don't know what you know. They do not
Yeah.
know what they need to know to be productive on day one in a construction management position. I guarantee it. I guarantee it because I've been seeing it for the last 12 years where I've never come across one college graduate who knows how to do anything in the curriculum that you walked through.
Right.
And I'll just be transparent. I did give Caleb's resume to my company and they did not react fast enough to hire him. And I was like, you guys fucked up. But
Yeah.
I digress. Trust me,
Yeah.
Caleb's on my radar. So
Oh yeah.
um, I was so excited to hear that you got the job offer and that you got it as quickly as you did. And I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, how many how many interviews did it take once you finished the course?
Yeah, man. So in total, I had up to that point before I got my offer, I only had two interviews. I had one with a guy out of Tampa for GC, was based out of Tampa, so I got a chance to meet with him. And my second interview was with the company that ended up offering me the job right now, so it didn't take long. It's not a whole lot of kind of hoops I had to jump through, to be completely honest. So yeah, it was just two.
Just two. That's
That's
a pretty
two.
good batting average,
It
right?
really
He's
is.
working at Publix and then Aldi, running a grocery store.
Yep.
He has a change in his ambitions, wants to take a different career path, picks up this course that he finds from some goofy guy wearing glasses on YouTube.
Yeah,
And 6 weeks later, he's interviewing with companies. And the second interview that he takes, and by the way, the first interview wasn't a no. He just
it
wasn't
wasn't
moving. He wasn't moving fast enough. The second company that you interviewed with,
correct.
they took it. So I want to talk about that. What was most, well, I don't want to give you that question, but I do want to talk about the content of the course.
Yes.
But talk about the value leading up to those interviews. Like, how confident and prepared were you, and why so?
Yeah. So for me, the course alone was set me up, like set a really good foundation, right? Like I can't stress enough. I have zero experience with construction at all. Like this was something completely out of the blue. I'm not saying like it wasn't strategic because it's what I chose, but I'm saying I had no point of reference up to this point. I'm like you said, I'm really picking up something completely new to me and having to start from the ground up. So I haven't, the closest thing onto a jobs I have been to is in volunteer efforts. I did do some, Habitat for Humanity and help my local community and that kind of stuff. But, that was my own exposure. So the course, took, took me from the very basics of safety, um, budget management, dealing with clients, you know, stakeholder management, all these things to build up all the way through project closeout. How to end the project on a good note, what do those things looks like. And you kind of mentioned, with these 4-year degrees that a lot of people tend to go to, and go through for education, majority of these courses or a good portion or these courses or curriculums that they're taking, a lot of it isn't necessarily moving the needle and then for the actual field they're actually trying to go into. A lot of it is just kind of there as fluff. Even with the course, man, like I don't think I've really seen a course structured the way that this one was for me. The minute you hit play button, it's just all right, boom, that's what we're getting into. Boom, that's what we got. It was just so just emphatic, very matter of fact, just like, hey, this is what you need to know, right? And
Yeah, no
so that
fluff. And
no fluff
I
at
well, I
all.
would say, you mentioned a lot of the first half of the course, right? So there's like two halves that I just want everyone to
Right.
be aware of. And the management and the leadership and the workflows and the paperwork and the contracts, all those things. But there is a nuts and bolts half too, right? Which I
Right.
guess it remains to be seen when you get on your job site how
Of
valuable
course.
that was. But talk about that detail. Like, did you find that part valuable when it went through all the different trades?
I did, yeah, and I'm be honest, it was a lot to intake. It really was because it was so thorough. It was very detailed. Um, but also once again you took the time in this course able to make sure that whatever it is that was needed, to be able to set anybody who's taking this course up for success. It made it happen. And even, I want to put the cart before the horse, but even in an interview, or even when in applying for certain roles, um, there wasn't really any job position at all. When you're looking at qualifications or requirements or job duties, and if you were to get off this role, what are some of the things that I'd be doing in that role? I could just go to CourseCareers, open up the curriculums, open up that drop down tab, and honestly just, if not line by line, if not every other line, just touching on word for word on there of the things that you taught on was the same thing that these reports are looking for. And that to
It's a
me,
crazy concept.
it really is. That to me, I was like, okay, this guy, he knows what he's talking about, like
Crazy
100%.
concept. You would create an education to fit a job description and what you need to know on day one. Wild.
Right,
So there was the course, but then we had a little bit of an effort afterwards too, right? We
right.
had some one-on-one sessions to get you
We
prepped
did.
for game time, to
Yes.
get you into the interview room. What was that like, and how did that change the game for you going into those interviews?
Yeah. So, once, took the course, passed the exam, we didn't leave it there, right? We wanted to make sure that there wasn't any stone, left unturned. So, you got a chance to meet with me a few times, being able to kind of give me a game plan on, like, hey, Caleb, when now that you kind of got this certification, like, let's keep it pushing, right? When you're applying, it's what you want to look for. You want to try to apply to this many companies every single week at the very least. As far as the one-on-one coaching sessions, being able to really be mindful of going into an interview, what's most likely the things I'm going to be asked, right? Going over those questions with me, not only, giving me the opportunity to be able to try my hand at it, being able to make sure I articulate these things in the right way and be able to talk the talk, be able to also walk the walk, but just as well as just making sure that I'm feeling confident, right? So Ike a lot of times, he like, hey, like write this down. Like he's letting me know, like, hey, I want you to like write this down because they're gonna ask you. And so once again, it's very intentional. It was structured. It was a means to an end to make sure that, we weren't doing all this for nothing. And I'd be the first to say 100%, in both opportunities that I've had to in the interview that I just had recently, the company I took the offer with, even my first initial one, a lot of things that we touched on in that interview proven to be in the mock interview that we did, it really proved to be very helpful and very applicable in these interviews. And I got a lot of good feedback. They're like, hey man, I mean, for somebody who doesn't really have too much experience, man, I mean, you can speak to it very well, I will say. And so even just these employers, like, a lot of these people, they didn't necessarily know about this course, and what it taught, what it was about, and who instructed it, but they were able to see in real time the results of that. And so that itself, they're like, hey man, like I don't know about this course, but it clearly has worked because you're sitting in my office right now. So yes, sir.
Well, I think that's just it. And it just goes back to the point from the beginning where, like, you can take a PMP certification, you can take a
Yeah,
Google Project Manager certification, but the reality is that doesn't tell you anything, right? And
right,
if you're able to structure your resume with a bunch of relevant information and then they ask you about it and you can answer the question, it's like, oh, wow, okay. He at least has the initiative and the wherewithal to remember what we think is relevant, which
right.
communicates what? It communicates that this is somebody that I want to give a shot, right?
Right.
The main objective over anything is to be somebody who wants to be a team player, the right attitude, the right work ethic, and just wants to learn and is humble. And if you can do that, there's a company out there for everybody that wants somebody like
Absolutely.
that. And you are that in spades, man. I'm even impressed with 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 you and your ability to retain and really understand. And to be honest with you, it's not even like I'm not even suggesting that you're like Albert Einstein. I'm suggesting that you cared and you
My
put the
thanks.
energy in. And I did have to correct you on things, like
Yep.
when I kind of gave you like a shock quiz, pop quizzes
Hmm.
in our coaching
Yeah.
sessions and stuff like that. But you weren't far off, and once we corrected you once, you remembered, right? That, like, just
Yes, sir.
trying. If you just have that kind of a mindset to just care and to try,
Right.
you're going to be successful in whatever you do. And in the construction industry, that's the bar. And unfortunately, a lot of people just aren't willing to go above it. So I think the world of you. I think I'm very excited to see where your career goes. And it doesn't stop here, right? I mean,
Let's stop here.
you got me, and anytime you need me, I'm gonna be here to guide you, because I think above mentorship, above education, mentorship is the best thing that you can do in your career, and that's really what I want to do here. So,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I think I know the answer, but would you recommend the construction project management course from Course Careers?
10 times out of 10 times, man. I genuinely, I am, for everybody out there watching, I can't. I was you at one point. I was a skeptic. I was the one that was like, oh, it's too good to be true. Because a lot of the stuff, a lot of treatments, or a lot of these people out here, man, the motives aren't necessarily in the right place, or like it's a lot of fluff, right? So, I was able to, put my money where my mouth was, right? I was like, okay, if this guy's saying that if I can take this course and I can learn some information is going to be valuable to me in the job market, and he's been in this industry for a very long time, he's that kind of been there, done that kind of guy, he can speak to it. Well, let's see. Let's see, right? So, and one of the things you kind of touched on, I also kind of talk to my dad about, from the first time that we just had, I can't say enough, our first initial meeting till this day, it just stuck with me so much and it resonated. But just Ike is very, accountability is there, right? He's not gonna take it easy on you, right? And I didn't need a yes person. I need somebody like, hey man, this is what you want to do. I'm gonna get you ready, right? As long as you put in the work, I got you. But I'm gonna make sure, right, this is not given. So like those pop quizzes, all those things, it was, he made sure that this wasn't any sort of feign. It was like, hey man, like no, you need to actually know this stuff. And I think that really helped me as a turning point for me to really make sure that I was actually ingesting information, not only knowing it, but actually be able to understand it. And when I got to that point, that just helped me be more confident in delivering information, answering these questions, and be able to really make sense. And that helped a lot. But yeah, man, the course, it is as advertised, 100%. You're hearing it right from me. Somebody who actually took the course, put the time in, not only put the time in, but also took the time to be able to apply what the course taught, from not only learning the actual course, but also that last portion. Okay, since you have all this information, you have the skill set, and you actually have the certification, what's your next steps? To, the resume portion, which, we tweaked that a few times. And so, I got a chance to learn just a lot from that. Like I knew a lot about resumes, but I feel like I've learned so much more and I have a lot better of a well thought out point of view and how much that can really set you up in a really good way. Um, because they always told me, it's like, hey man, you want to get set up to where in the first 5 seconds of somebody look at your application or your resume, show what you can do day one. And so just all the little things, man, it's from the intangible to the intangible thing, where leadership, how you carry yourself, all those things, you touched on all of it. So long story short, course career 10 out of 10 rating, man. I'm a living, walking testament of that. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you would have asked me January 1st, 2025, would I be in this current situation, was turning point in my life, I tell you, you're freaking crazy. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity, to be able to, meet with Ike, and thankful for his time and his willingness to be able to not only just help me, but I mean, we have a whole entire group of people who want to be able to better themselves in this industry. And he is in
And that's growing.
there
That's
and it's
hopefully growing.
growing
That's going
generally.
to snowball, right?
Yeah, so it's life changing, man. It really is. And once again, it's not a degree. I don't have to spend a ton of money. I'd have to spend some, but it's very affordable, and that return on investment is unfair. It's unfair, but you know what? I'll take it. I'm not complaining.
So, the return on the investment, I don't want you to give up your salary because that's personal information.
Yes.
But from the free course and the conversations that we had,
Yeah.
were the expectations set accurately? And are you happy with the salary you got with the new career?
First part, it was set accurately. It was actually probably lowball a little bit because the offer that I got was considerably over what we were kind of shooting for a little bit, what the actual market was, for somebody coming in with no experience. I was able to land, the salary a little bit above that. So yeah, it was, yeah, it's the return on investment. Once again, it's complete lopsided in the most best way possible.
Yeah.
100%. So
That's good.
absolutely.
So you are happy. That's good.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Very happy.
Caleb, I appreciate it. We've already gone. I knew this was going to happen. I knew we were going to take more time than I would told you I would take from you on a Friday night.
Yes, sir.
Just another Friday night where me and Caleb are hanging out here on a
Oh
screen.
yeah.
But um, you know, anytime I have somebody on, I always like to just open the floor. Is there anything, that we didn't hit on that you were hoping you get to talk about?
Yeah, no, I'll really just encourage anybody, like, hey man, like if you're considering, if you came across this video, if you came across, any of Ike's, his TikTok, YouTube, Instagramers, any of that stuff, I'm here to tell you, like, it's worth a shot. I don't tend to believe that I'm better than anybody's from human being to human being. I feel like if I can do it, anybody else can. As you said, I don't claim to be any Albert Einstein. I don't claim to be the smartest guy in the room, but I do work hard, and I do want to be able to, if there's a skill there that I can learn, even if it's new, right, that can put me in a good situation to where I can be able to provide for myself, my future family, and be able to actually have a whole career out of that. If I just invest a couple weeks, and invest that in myself and be able to reap the rewards of that, I feel like there's not really any really downside to that. It's just about you investing in you and just kind of taking a leap of faith. So I definitely would recommend, once again, I can't stress enough, CourseCareers, construction project management, Ike as an instructor. you'll be in good hands. It's just all about, as long as you want to put in the work and you want to be able to listen and be able to apply what you're learning. If I can do it, there's no reason why anybody else can't. And I can't say that any more than I just did. So absolutely.
I appreciate that, Caleb, and good luck.
Thank you.
I don't think you're going to need it. I think that you have everything, all the tools, and the mindset that you're going to need to, dominate in the industry. And I truly mean that. I think with the market that you're in and the company that you're in and the opportunity that you got, you're going to shine, and you're going to shine fast. So, congrats. Good for you. If
Yes, sir. Thank
anybody
you.
is interested, again, you can find the link to this on any one of my social medias, including YouTube. If you're seeing this on YouTube, I guess I got to get this link on Spotify. Um, and if you're also interested in an HVAC technician, if you're interested in becoming an electrician, a plumber, draftsman, or an estimator, there are courses up there now as well. So go check those out. And it's no cost to you. It's free. They all have free intro courses to teach you everything that you would want to know about a career before you go into it. And there's a 2-week refund period. So it's not like, even if $449 is, a lot of money to you, and it is a lot of money, you're not just shoveling it out the window. If you feel like you regret it, or you want to pivot to another course, then you can do that. So really the risk is pretty low. But you just heard it here from Caleb. More than anything else, I want to be here for people. I want to help lift people up. I told Caleb this same thing. With whatever's charged, I mean, Caleb, I don't think I've ever charged you for a coaching session, but whatever's up there
Not
on my
one time.
website,
Yeah.
whatever's up there on my website for charging people, just so you know, in my day job, my clients get charged like 3 times that. Okay. And this course, by the way, took me 7 months and over 400 hours to make. I could do different things with my time if it was about money. I want to help lift people up. And I'm
Yes,
glad that
sir.
Caleb was able to come here on here and share his story, because my goal, I feel like my purpose is to create as many Calebs as we can. And Caleb's story isn't over here. So, Caleb, I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Enjoy your weekend.
Yes, sir. You as well. All right, guys.